Hello there, very good evening. This is the weekend edition of Primetime News on TV1 for the Newsfirst, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this evening.
US and UK strikes against Yemen's Houthis continue. Protests break out in Yemen after attacks. CEB conceals profit over 65 billion rupees in 2023, presents proposal to reduce tariffs by minor margins. Multiple factions oppose revised anti-terrorism bill. President Ranil Wickremesinghe leaves for Switzerland to attend the World Economic Forum.
On to those stories in detail. Sri Lanka has intensified Operation Yuktiya with police deployment surge and strict legal oversight. Acting Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tenakon has instructed all police divisional OICs, district OICs, station OICs and crime OICs to actively participate in Operation Yuktiya starting tomorrow. This directive came during an awareness program for the officers. The Ministry of Public Security provided vital information for the operation, including 35,505 warrants issued, 4,258 suspects identified through fingerprints, and 2,485 known suspects wanted for previous offences. The acting IGP emphasized intensive deployment of all crime branch officers 24/7 for the next month, covering all police divisions under Operation Yuktiya. Meanwhile, the National Police Commission issued a statement outlining corrective measures for the acting IGP regarding Operation Yuktiya. These measures emphasize the necessity for all officers to operate strictly within the existing legal framework, respecting the principles of the Constitution, particularly regarding the protection of basic human rights. The acting IGP is instructed to delay communicate these requirements to all participating officers and promptly report back to the Commission regarding the implementation of these directives. In more news, US President Joe Biden has said that they will continue its strikes if the Houthi rebels do not end their attacks in the Red Sea. The USS Carney, a US Navy destroyer stationed in the Red Sea, launched a precision strike on a radar system in Yemen.
According to the White House, the US-UK attack struck nearly 30 locations in Yemen using more than 150 munitions.
What is Yemen's response to the US-UK attacks?
Despite a ceasefire dividing Yemen into two administrative zones, the Houthi rebels control the capital Sana'a and significant territory in the north, while the internationally recognized government holds some southern areas. A few hours after today's attacks, tens of thousands of Yemenis gathered in several cities to condemn US and UK strikes on their country in response to attacks by Houthi militants on Red Sea shipping. Tensions in the Red Sea flared yesterday after the US and UK joint forces launched drone and missile attacks in Yemen, including Houthi military facilities in the capital Sana'a. This escalation follows previous Houthi attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea.
What is the stance of the United States of America?
At the United Nations Security Council, US Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield defended the Yemen strikes, saying they were intended to disrupt and degrade the Houthis' ability to continue the reckless attacks against vessels and commercial shipping.
How has international media responded to the attacks?
Meanwhile, foreign media reports highlight that President Biden bypassed congressional authorization for the Yemen strikes, notifying them but not seeking their approval. This decision has sparked opposition from several lawmakers who are concerned about potential escalation. Members of Congress insist that obtaining congressional authorization is mandatory prior to any military intervention in foreign conflicts. Meanwhile, in the UK, members of parliament raised concerns that Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's decision to authorize military action against Houthi rebels in Yemen lacked proper parliamentary consultation. In response, Sunak announced he will address Parliament on Monday to provide details and justifications for the action.
Is there a connection between the recent developments in the Red Sea and the ongoing geopolitical situation in the Middle East?
On February 24, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This escalation represented the apex of the Russo-Ukrainian war that had simmered since 2014 and resulted in the largest refugee crisis in Europe since the Second World War. The United States and the European Union have provided substantial military and economic aid to Ukraine, bolstering its resistance against Russia. While at first glance, Russia appeared to face a disadvantage. But the situation changed with the attacks on Israel by Hamas. With the attacks on Israel by Hamas, the US and the UK shifted their focus to the Middle East region, adjusting their military strategies previously geared towards Ukraine. The situation in the Red Sea escalated with the Houthi rebels' attacks on ships suspected of having Israeli connections. The rebels' use of drones, helicopters and missiles raised concerns about potential external support. This is now an international crisis. The escalating conflict in the Red Sea, a vital artery for global trade, has drawn powerful states from both sides. While the epicenter of the clashes lies in the Middle East, its economic ramifications are felt worldwide. Disruptions caused by these tensions have resulted in shipping delays and ultimately higher prices for consumers across the globe. In light of these developments, a crucial question arises. Does Sri Lanka remain an outside observer, or does it have a role to play in this complex regional issue involving the Sea of Sri Lanka? On the 3rd of January 2024, in a surprise announcement, Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed the country's decision to join international efforts against the Houthis in Yemen with the deployment of vessels to the Red Sea. As per the Sri Lankan Navy, the dispatched vessel will support the ongoing operation led by the US and India-led coalition against the Houthi rebels. While all logistical arrangements are in place, the exact date of deployment remains undisclosed. General Secretary of the Ceylon Teachers Union expressed views on the prevailing crisis on Shakti TV's Newsline program.
The Houthi rebels have clearly said that they will take retaliatory measure against any party that opposes them in the Red Sea. If our country has to face such an issue, the responsibility of it must be borne by Ranil Wickremesinghe. How did Ranil Wickremesinghe make this decision? Who did he consult? Did he obtain parliamentary approval? Did people agree to this? The president has put the future and the security of the country in jeopardy by making such an autocratic decision. Sri Lanka has become a follower of US policies. This is a violation of fundamental rights in Sri Lanka. Such superpowers expect countries like us fall at their beck and call. This is an attempt by Ranil Rajapaksa to suppress the possible opposition he may receive for his actions.
The New Democratic Marxist Leni Party also commented regarding the Sri Lankan involvement in the Red Sea.
A national economy has gone bankrupt. In such a backdrop, it is a joke how we are sending our naval warships to protect the economic activities in the Red Sea. We are becoming a puppet of America. Our country was known for our non-alignment policy. We can see how we have adopted a Western-aligned approach towards our foreign policy and have become more partial to American policies since Ranil Wickremesinghe took office.
இந்த சம்பவத்தின் மூலமாக நாங்கள் காணக்கூடியதாக
While the government's attention remained focused on the Red Sea crisis, Sri Lankan farmers in Jaffna held a protest condemning the illegal fishing activities and resource depletion in Sri Lankan waters by Indian fishermen. This outcry stemmed from a recent incident where several Indian fishermen maliciously destroyed the fishing equipment of Sri Lankan counterparts.
Illegal fishing by Indian bottom trawlers are still continuing. We are unable to do our jobs because of that. The Navy captures a few boats. A government that cannot protect their own sea and catch a few Indian trawlers is trying to get involved in a Red Sea conflict. They are focusing on other international issues before remedying the issues we have here at home.
The Sea of Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean region remains the center point of the world geopolitical jockey. Meanwhile, Chinese state media has slammed a US report suspecting its Indian Ocean research, calling it a munition for China threat narratives.
Chinese state media has warned that a report by a prominent US think tank on the military uses of Chinese scientific research across the Indian Ocean gave ammunition to countries bent on concocting threats from China. According to the state-controlled tabloid, the report this week by the Washington-based Center for Strategic and International Studies comes at a time when some countries need to manufacture a China threat narrative in the Indian Ocean region and provides them with ammunition. It added that the timing of this report is delicate given that the Maldives and China are upgrading ties after the election of President Mohamed Muizzu, while Sri Lanka recently suspended foreign research vessels, including from China, from visiting its ports. Chinese state media defended the ongoing research missions, saying China and regional partners were exploring the natural ecology of the region without any hidden agenda.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe left for Switzerland on an official visit earlier this morning to attend the World Economic Forum in Davos. The president will attend the World Economic Forum annual meeting, which will commence on Monday.
The World Economic Forum is a global platform where the world's key decision makers get together at the beginning of the year to shape the political, economic, social and environmental agendas. Representatives from international organizations, global companies, civil society, academic institutions and media will be attending the forum. During the visit, President Wickremesinghe will deliver the keynote address on paving the way towards an energy-secure Sri Lanka at the Green Tech Forum organized by the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce. The President will also attend the Business Roundtable organized by the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka with the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe held talks with authorities and the International Monetary Fund at the President's office. The International Monetary Fund congratulated Sri Lanka on completing the first review under its program.
At the Executive Board meeting, directors really recognized the difficult reforms that you have embarked upon. They pointed out the governance diagnostic to first of all agree to do it as the first one in Asia and then to publish it was actually quite courageous, and so they congratulated the authorities. There was strong recognition on that as well as all the other reforms. It really shows that you're tackling this extremely severe crisis with all the vigor that is needed in order to have Sri Lanka emerge from the crisis. I think there are very encouraging signs that the program is beginning to work, that the economy is stabilizing. So there's, of course, all the signs with respect to sort of the policy-related variables. So in the fiscal area, basically highlight that the policies that you implemented beginning from after we reached staff-level agreement in the second half of 2022, that those policies are working, that they have the intended effect, that you're collecting the revenue that's needed in order to address the cause of the crisis. It seems like there's a positive surprise in all of this, which will go a long way to build confidence with the international community, with official creditors, with private creditors, and that is very important. At the board meeting, directors pointed out other positive news. Inflation has come down so significantly because of the efforts that the authorities have undertaken with respect to monetary policy and with respect to scaling back monetary financing. The governance reforms have begun, so I think these are all positive signs. And in fact, we are now seeing in the third quarter positive economic growth. Now, it is very tentative. It's not in the areas where we would like to see it in terms of benefiting the people. At the moment, it is sort of capital formation, it's the machinery, and so forth. But you have to start somewhere. Eventually, that growth will move over to other sectors. And so I think that is good news. But for that to happen, of course, perseverance with the reforms is absolutely key.
As far as the Anti-Corruption Commission is concerned, no, they are going ahead. Actually, they had agreed on the principles on selections, but I think they were arguing on many issues around it. So there are about 2 or 3 changes, not on the criteria, but on some of the other matters. But it was not an issue because I think most of them came and agreed on the present chairman, Neil Idawella, who was earlier the additional Secretary General of Parliament and then a judge in the Court of Appeal. So there was unanimity as far as the chairman and the other 2 members were concerned. I met with them and I said, go through what you have to do. Don't rush into anything just because people say you have to catch the crooks, but do your initial work properly. Don't try to show results by saying we've caught this one or that one. First get your system ready and then go ahead. He agreed. Basically, he's very level-headed. Only other thing is elections, and the problem there is that every party says they are going to change all this and they'll negotiate with the IMF.
Students from the Open University Union held a protest opposite the university in Navala today.
Students from various universities citing concerns like the recent VAT increase joined the protest today. The Open University Main Student Union organized the protest. The group protested for about an hour. Police and water cannons were deployed to the location.
With the increase in VAT, the price of goods, fuel and transportation have increased. There are plans to increase our course fees as well. The Ranil-led government is continuously saying that there are no dollars and the country is facing bankruptcy and therefore taxes have been increased. Now they've asked everyone above the age of 18 to obtain a tin. Have liquor companies paid the taxes they have evaded? Those are missing. The president is making laws as and when he pleases. The ATA, which received widespread public opposition, has been reintroduced to Parliament. It is very clear that they are trying to suppress the voice of the people by reintroducing legislation that will severely restrict the people's right to express.
State Minister of Mass Media Shanta Bandara said that the government understands people's plight.
Some business communities have been driving their charging prices in an unreasonable manner. The government has focused their attention on this matter. We have discussed it in a great detail. Accordingly, the necessary legislation will be made in the future, and the Consumer Affairs Authority has also given necessary instructions to take active measures in this regard. Because with the current situation of the country, we need to drive up our income. Whoever rises to power in the country, they need to understand that if they act contrary to these agreements with the International Monetary Fund, the country will definitely not be able to move forward for another 6 months. We should all try to understand that.
Samagi Jana Balawege MP Dr. Harshadi Silva warned that if the country's debt restructuring is not handled properly, it could lead to another major crisis.
දැන් ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ දැන් මේ ණය ප්‍රතිහොගත කිරීම පස්සට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
The problem is that debt restructuring process has been delayed. Meanwhile, the interest has accumulated another $3 billion. When the interest is added every week and every month, the arrears will not be restructured. They should be settled as separate loans. Now, the problem here is the international sovereign bond holders have sent us a proposal. In that proposal, it is said that they will cut 20% of the debt and then they are going to restructure this debt at an interest rate that will increase to 9% according to the country's GDP. We can start to pay the loans in 2027, which will end in 2036. The government has not yet accepted it. It has been rejected as a whole. But we have heard that they have said that the government has not really had an important discussion with them in this regard. We are in the middle of a very complicated debt restructuring process. We cannot say that we reject it and cannot pay this loan. This has not happened in the world. We have to face the reality. I have to say that if this debt restructuring cannot be done, if we have to go for a second debt restructuring, then the society will collapse.
මොකද මිනිස්සුන්ට යන්න එන්න මං නැති වෙනවා.
What is the objective of the anti-terrorism bill presented to Parliament by Minister of Justice Vijayadasa Rajapaksa? Lawyers of the Jatika Jana Balavegya expressed views on this.
Judiciary has the power to serve justice. Despite that, according to this act, a secretary can detain and interrogate a person for a period of up to 2 months for an alleged terrorist conduct, which is included in the act, without producing them before a magistrate. You know that an election will be held soon. If they pass this bill within a month or two, people will no longer be able to stand up for their rights. Secretaries are awarded with a separate executive power to detain such people for a period of 2 months. In a time where there is no terrorism in the country, they are bringing this anti-terrorism bill for nothing but to control and to suppress the social media and the people who are protesting and raising their voices against the MPs who are voting in favor of the VAT hike for dual citizens. They are trying to suppress the acts of the opposition through this bill as well. By bringing this act, can the murderer of Lasantha Wickramatunge be investigated? Can they investigate who attacked Sirasa? Was that investigated? They are trying to suppress the people who are raising their voices through this bill.
The New Wings movement expressed their views on the anti-terrorism bill at a media conference held today.
As this year dawns, the government has imposed a huge tax burden on the public. There is no room left to be exempted from this imposed tax burden, as the statements or objections issued in this regard are all considered as offences under the Terrorism Act, whether it's criticizing the decision taken by the government online or offline. We see this as an act that turns all the oppressed people into terrorists. The police officers in the country, any of their own military officers, or even a Coast Guard officer, if they think that we are terrorists based on this or are committing an offence related to this, they possess the power to arrest them at their discretion without issuing a warrant. Therefore, if this bill is passed, there is no requirement of a warrant after that. Then they can arrest them without any interrogation if they think a crime has ensued. It's time for Action TV.
It is now abundantly clear that the members of the PUCSL have approved the electricity tariff hike by 18% on the 19th of October in a way that the CEB would be able to incur an extreme profit at the end of yet another year. That is evident through the reports submitted by the CEB to the PUCSL. These are the set of proposals made by the CEB regarding the electricity tariff amendment for the first quarter of 2024. The CEB has estimated their annual income for the year 2024 based on the electricity prices that stood as of the 23rd of October 2023. Accordingly, the income of the CEB for 2024 would surpass 710 billion rupees, whereas the cost would surpass 680 billion rupees. This would leave the CEB with an annual profit of over 23 billion rupees, which would go against the Sri Lanka Electricity Act, as such a lump sum would be viewed as an extreme profit. Therefore, the 4 members of the PUCSL must understand that the collective decision made by them on the 19th of October 2023 is unlawful under the Sri Lanka Electricity Act. Through this document, the CEB has pointed out that the estimated revenue of over 23 billion rupees could be utilized to reduce the current electricity tariff by 3.34%. The CEB, which now highlighted a possibility of electricity tariff reduction using estimated revenue, did not speak a word of the extreme profits earned in the previous year and made no efforts to even hint at a possible cost reduction. As stated in the document, the profit earned by the CEB in the previous year exceeds 65 billion rupees. 2 Parliament sectoral oversight committees unambiguously pointed out that the decision to increase the electricity tariffs twice in the past year was made departing from basic economic principles and therefore rendering them void. The Commission further instructed the CEB to distribute extreme profit equally among the electricity consumers within 3 months. The ultimate outcome of these actions would be the reintroduction of the previous tariff system that was in place before the 15th of February 2023. If the 4 members of the PUCSL are unable to comprehend such basic economic equations, their suitability to hold such office should be seriously considered. It is also evident that the estimated budget of the CEB for this year is an attempt at severely misleading the general public. More details on this will be revealed tomorrow through Action TV.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
Reach beyond boundaries with Edlocate. Explore education across 6 destinations under one roof. Rhythms of Paradise. Koggala will celebrate Sri Lanka's rhythmic heritage, uniting diverse drumming traditions to create a symphony and a concert by Bhatia and Santosh. The event will be held at Air Force Base Koggala on 13 January 5:30 p.m. onwards. Contact 074-266-4242. Media sponsor TV1, Sirasa TV and Newsfirst.
State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siyamala clarifies that the purpose of the Gazette notice issued on January 11th regarding vehicle imports is to facilitate the necessary procurement of vehicles for several government institutions.
The Ministry of Education will receive 2 buses under foreign presence.
Former Minister Mervyn Silva called on the Anunayaka of the Malwatha chapter, Most Venerable Dimbul Kumbure Vimaladhamma Thero.
Former Minister Mervyn Silva expressed these views to the media.
Out of the 225 MPs in the parliament, there are good people. I would like to ask them to come out and join hands with us to build this country for the better. I resigned because I couldn't work with such people. When I held ministerial position, they called me a thief, a murderer. They also called Basil a thief and Gotabaya a murderer. We are yet to select a candidate, but we have sent out invitations. We will select someone suitable then. I would like to tell the people to take it to the streets. Thousands of people must send them off on a ship just like the King Rajasingha did back then. How many tours has the president gone on for this short period of time? He even left for overseas today. If we come to power, the murderers of Lasantha Wickramatunge and Tajuddin will be found out. I know about the attack on Sirasa. I will tell you about that at the right time. It is too early now.
සිරසගේ ගිනුතු එක මම දන්නවා ඒක මං කියනවා කියන වෙලාවට මුන්ට මං දිගෑරලා කියනවා දැම්ම කිව්වොත් කල් වැඩි මේක.
Landslide warnings issued for Kandy, Mathura, Nuwara and Ratnapura districts have been extended further. The Department of Meteorology also predicts rainfall in the Uva and the central provinces. Mainly fair weather is expected elsewhere.
A portion of Ankadavara estate in Badankumbral has been affected by the landslides that began yesterday evening. Newsfirst correspondent reported that 21 families have been displaced and seeking refuge in safe areas.
දැන් ආපදා කරන්නේ එනවා කියලා කිව්වා තාම මෙච්චර වෙලාවට කවුරුත් ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ මෙතන. අවතෙන් වෙලා යන්න තැනක් නැහැ. කන්න බොන්න මොකුත් නැහැ. බඩ ඔක්කොම යට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. අක්කර 10කට වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් ගිහිලා තියෙනවා. වලක් වගේ තිබ්බේ ඒ කඳු වල තිබ්බ පස් ටික ඇවිල්ලා වැහිලා දැන් තනි තැන්නයක් වගේ ඒකෙන් යටේ තමයි ගෙවල් 5ක් යට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. තව ඉතුරු කෑල්ල මෙතන ලයිමක් තියෙනවා. ඒක යට වෙන්න යන්නේ. තව පොඩි පස් පිරෙනවා ඒ ටිකත් ඇවිල්ලා.
ඔක්කොම නාය ගියා. පින්ඩ ගයක් නැහැ. මූයා ගන්න ඉඩමක් නැහැ.
Deputy Director of the Monragala District Disaster Management Centre, A.H. Ravindra Kumar, said the landslide is still active. Rising water swamped lowlands and houses in Vandarmule, forcing 141 families to seek shelter at the Ganesha Vidyalaya. Paddy fields in Kenya, Ralkuli and Navaladi are underwater due to the rising water levels of the Mahavali River. 327 people belonging to 118 families belonging to the Verugal Divisional Secretariat are sheltered in the Mavadi Chennai Hindu Mahavidyalaya due to the opening of the sluice gates of the Mavilara River. 5 sluice gates of the Sena Nayaka Samudra were opened and the water is released to the Galloya. Due to this, many houses and lowlands and byroads in the area, including Inyagala and Polvatta, are underwater for the past 6 days. About 1,000 acres of paddy fields near Galloya are also underwater. About 1,000 people who are engaged in the brick industry in Amphara near the Galloya are helpless due to the floods. This is where they engaged in work before the heavy rainfall and floods. These places are now inundated. Due to this, the people have lost their way of income. Newsfirst correspondent reported that these areas have been flooded for the past few days. Paddy fields in Ratmale, Min area remain submerged due to the overflowing of the spillway that channels water from Min area to Kaudulla following the opening of the Min area Vavar sluice gates. Farmers said that more than 100 acres of paddy fields cultivated during the Maha season are inundated. More than 500 acres of paddy fields belonging to the Sena Nayaka Divide Canal Farmers Organisation of the Polanarua Parakrama Samudra farming movement are also flooded.
A look back at a story that we had earlier. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siamalapitiya clarifies that the purpose of the Gazette notice issued on January 11th regarding vehicle imports is to facilitate the necessary procurement of vehicles for several government institutions.
The Ministry of Education will receive 2 buses under foreign projects. 21 double cabs will be imported for the Ministry of Health, 3 vehicles for the mobile maternity clinics, 1 vehicle for the Ministry of Labour and 3 vehicles for Sri Lankan Airlines for transportation of staff. Therefore, these are recognized as essential crucial for the government institutions. The Gazette has not allowed to bring any more vehicles than that.
In addition to the vehicles mentioned by the Minister, permission has also been granted to the Ministry of Labour and Foreign Employment to import an SUV via the relevant Gazette.
Jathika Jana Balawege held its Kandy constituency conference today with party leader Anurukumara Disanayaka and others in attendance.
අපේ රට ආර්ථික වශයෙන් විශාලතම පතුලටම ගිලපු රටක් අපිට ඉතුරු වෙලා තිබෙනවා.
We have been left with a country that has faced a complete economic collapse. Ranil Wickremesinghe said that we will reach a 2019-like economy only in 2029. But tax rates that stand at 2023 will be increased by 25%. How do they plan on increasing the tax revenue? 138 types of goods and services were not previously subject to VAT. They are constantly used by the people. School equipment are usually exempt from VAT. Should school essential be subject to VAT? It is usually exempt from VAT, but as of the 1st of January, those items will also fall within the purview of VAT. Health equipment and raw material used to manufacture medicine are also under VAT. Should you have to pay a tax for consulting a doctor when sick, that too will be subject to VAT from the 1st of the year. Ranil is saying that the economy is heading towards stability. Should the hunger and food of citizens be subject to VAT? All of this has now been included to the tax. That means most fields that are very close to the daily lives of the people which previously were not subject to VAT are now subject to VAT. This includes food, education and health. The increase in petrol prices has a crippling effect on the economy. Now all those fields are also included. Through all of this, the president is attempting to earn 4,164 billion. What is the expenditure of the government for this year? It is 11,077 billion. What is the revenue of the treasury? It is 4,164 billion. The total expenditure of the government is 11,174 billion. This shows that this is a collapsed nation.
Workers from Nuwara Lintula Beram Estate staged a protest today.
A protest was held denouncing the actions of the Nuwara Lintula Beram Estate administration. They expressed concerns that the plantation management is not providing proper benefits or fair wages, causing economic hardship and impacting their ability to feed and educate their children. The estate workers vowed to continue protesting until their demands are met.
எங்களுக்கு சரியான கூலி கொடுக்கறதில்ல. இந்த வறுமையில தான் நாங்கள் இந்த வேலை செய்கிறோம். எங்களுக்கு சாப்பாடு கஷ்டம். பிள்ளைகளை படிக்க வைக்கணும். அவுட் சைட்காரங்க தான் ரொம்ப வேலை செய்யணும் போட்டு வேலை செய்கிறாங்க சார்.
தைப்பொங்கல் வருது. தைப்பொங்கலுக்கு இப்போ எங்களை எடுத்துக்கிட்டால் 4 பிள்ளைகள் வச்சிருக்கிறோம். நாட்டு நிலைமை இப்படி போய்கிட்டு இருக்கக்குள்ள நாட்டில் விலைவாசிகள் கூடுது. 200 வருஷம் காலமாக எங்கள் முன்னோர்கள் உழைச்சி இந்த நாடை இங்கே ஒரு அட்ரஸை உருவாக்கி வச்சிருந்தா இப்போ இருக்க மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் வந்து எங்கள்கிட்ட அட்ரஸே இல்லாமாக்க நினைக்குது.
1 கிலோ மாவுக்கு 1 கிலோ அரிசிக்கு பிச்சை கேட்டுக்கிட்டு வாழ்ந்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கிறோம். ஆனால் இந்த அரசாங்கம் இவ்வளவு நாள் வந்து இந்த தோட்ட தொழிலாளியை பற்றி எந்த விதமான ஒரு கதையும் கதைச்சோ ஏதோ ஒரு சலுகையை செஞ்சு கொடுத்தோ எங்களுக்கு கிடையாது. எங்களுக்கு இன்ன வரையும் ஒரு நிம்மதியான வாழ்க்கையே இந்த தோட்ட தொழிலாளிக்கு இல்லை.
நீங்கள் 200 வருஷமாக வாழ்ந்தேன்னு சொல்லி முத்துரை அடிக்கிறீங்க இந்தியாவில் போயிட்டு. நாங்கள் என்ன நாட்டில் வலிச்சு அதை ஒட்டுறதுக்கா எங்கள் உடம்புல ஒட்டிக்கவா முத்திரையை? இந்த தோட்டம்லாம் செல்வாக்கான ஒரு தோட்டம். நீங்கள் எல்லாம் வந்து யாரும் இதை பார்க்குறதில்ல வைக்கிறதில்ல. இன்றைக்கி என்ன செய்கிறது?
Newsfirst contacted the Lintula Beram Estate administration regarding these allegations. They claimed that the protest was orchestrated by a single individual and added they provided proper allowances and pay salaries to all workers.
Ahead of the upcoming election, Sri Lanka's political landscape is buzzing with debate on the future of provincial councils. Founder of the Pathfinder Foundation, Milinda Morogoda, has thrown fuel on the fire, urging political parties to consider abolishing the system altogether.
Founder of the Pathfinder Foundation, Milinda Morogoda, argued that provincial councils established in 1987 with the aim of fostering greater autonomy and resolving ethnic tensions have become unnecessary and inefficient. Morogoda said the provincial council layer is an unnecessary burden for a small nation like Sri Lanka with its 22 million population. He advocated for a small, efficient and people-centric government streamlined through district-level coordination involving relevant parliamentarians, key local officials and stakeholders. He proposed streamlining governance by directly empowering local and municipal bodies, citing their closer proximity to communities as a strength. He suggested creating a powerful Senate or upper house, specifically focused on addressing issues related to religion, ethnicity and regional diversity. This forum, composed of representatives from various groups, would aim to find solutions for complex national challenges.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1. For details of these stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First, where the people come first, I'm Martin Satyanes, and you take care and good night.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
Reach beyond boundaries with Edlocate. Explore education across 6 destinations under one roof.
TV1. TV for life.
බන්ටි හිත කියන්නේ එහෙම සරලව අපිට ඕන විදිහට වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක් නම් ජීවිතේ මීට වැඩි ගොඩාක් ලස්සන වෙන්න ඉඩ තිබුණා. අනික ආදරය කියන්නේ ඇති වෙන දෙයක් විතරයි. ඒක කවදාවත් නැති වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ හිතේ මං ගැන තියෙන්නේ අනුකම්පාවක් විතරද?
ඒකට මට තාම උත්තරයක් දෙන්න විදියක් නෑ බන්ටි.
කමක් නෑ රොබින්. මට බලාගෙන ඉන්න පුළුවන්.
මට සමා වෙන්න බන්ටි. මට දැන් මේකට උත්තරයක් දෙන්න බෑ. මට ජීවිතේ ඉෂ්ට කරන්න ඕන යුතුකමක් තියෙනවා. ඒක ඉෂ්ට කරාට පස්සේ මම නිදහස්. ඊට පස්සේ මට පුළුවන් මට ආදරේ කරන්න.
ඩිවෝස් වෙන ගෑණී කිරණම මේක වෙන්නේ නැති රොබින්. ඩිවෝස් වෙන අලුත මං හිතුවා මගේ ජීවිතේ එතනින් ඉවරයි කියලා. ලොරෙන් අක්කා මගේ හිත හැදුවා. ඔයත් මට කිව්වා ජීවිතේ අලුතෙන් පටන් ගන්න කියලා. ඒත් රොබින් මේ ලංකාවේ ගෑණියට තනියෙන් ජීවත් වෙන එක ලේසි දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක මට තේරුනේ මං තනියෙන් ජීවිතේ ගෙවන්න පටන් ගද්දී. ඊට පස්සේ ඔයාව මට හම්බ වුණාම මං ඔයාට හුඟක් ලං වුණා. ඒත් එහෙම ලං වුණේ මගේ ජීවිතේ අලුතෙන් පටන් ගන්න. ඒත් අද
බන්ටි මං කිව්වේ අපි වෙන වෙනවා කියලා නෙමෙයිනේ.
ඩිවෝස් වෙලා ඉද්දී අපිට මේ වගේ සම්බන්ධයක් පවත්වන්න පුළුවන් කියලා ඔයා හිතනවද? දැන්ටමත් මට මේ ස්කීම් එකේ කතන්දර හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ.
මං කතන්දර වලට බය මිනිහෙක් නෙමෙයි බන්ටි.
එතකොට මම
ඒකටත් මම ළඟදීම විසඳුමක් දෙන්නම්.
සම්බන්ධිනීගේ අයිය කවුද?
මේ අපේ දෙවනිගේ පින්තූරයක් නේද?
මෙම ඝාතන දාමය පිටුපස රෙදිමෝල වත්තේ අනාවේදෙහි සැකය.
කියා දෙන්න ආදරේ තරම් සතියේ දිනවල රාත්‍රියට ඉදිහට
සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්
හඳ පෙන්නුවාම ඇඟිල්ල දිහා බලන්න නැතුව හඳ දිහා බලන්න පුරුදු වෙන්න.
හරි. මං හඳ දිහා බලන්නම්කෝ.
දැන් වා හිතන්නේ මේක දේශපාලන තර්ජනයක් කියලාද?
නෑ නෑ මම එහෙමම හිතන්නේ නෑ සර්.
අපේ වයිෆ් සර්දාරි ආදරේ.
සර්කස් කාරයෝ සතියේ දිනවල රාත්‍රී 8ට සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන් නව වසරක් නව නායකත්වයක් නව ජයග්‍රාහී ගමනක් ශ්‍රී ලංකා සිම්බාබ්වේ එක්දින සහ T20 ක්‍රිකට් තරගාවලිය ජනවාරි 6 වෙනිදා සිට 18 වෙනිදා දක්වා පිටිය වටකොට නැගෙන ජයගොස සජීවීව විඳින්න TV1 නාලිකාව සමග රැඳෙන්න.
අපේ ඩෝටයි සබස්විටයන් කෝනට වැඩී වගේ නේද? ගැන ගින්දරයි පුළේ ළඟින් යන්න නරකයි.
අනේ මේ ඔයා නිකන් ඉන්න. ගින්දරයි පුළේ එකලඟ නෙමේ. මම පුළුවන් නම් පෙට්‍රල් ටිකකුත් දානවා. ඇයි? දුව හැමදාම ගේ ඇතුළට කරන් තියන් ඉන්නද කල්පනාව?
නෑ එහෙම ඕනේ නෑනේ. අපි හොඳ සන්ඩේ පේපර් එකේ පොඩි ඇඩ් එකක් දාලා හොඳ මම මෙච්චර රටේ ලෝකයට මනමාලිය හොයනවනේ. හා මට බෑද මගේ ඩෝටර්ට හොඳ රෙස්පෙක්ටබල් මනමාලෙක් කරලා දෙන්න? හා
රෙස්පෙක්ටබල් හොයයි කවුරු හරි රෙස්පෙක්ටබල් ජෙන්ටල්මන් කෙනෙක් ඇවිල්ලා ඔයාගේ වීල් චෙයාර් එකේ ඉන්න දුව අරන් යයි බලන් ඉන්න ඩවුරි එක තියෙනවනේ ඉතින් ඩැඩි එකතු කරලා
don't be angry මං කියන්නේ අපේ නතාලිද සුභාෂ්ට වඩා හොඳ මනමාලෙක් කරලා දෙන්න බෑද?
why can't we can do that you don't worry about that
අර කියන්නේ මන් දන්නවා ආට ඉතින් හොඳ අයිඩියාස් එනවා නියම ක්‍රියේටිව් අයිඩියාස් එනවා කියන්න බෑ මොකක්ද කියලා
අයිඩියා එකනේ දුවව සින්ඩරෙල්ලා වගේ කාමරයක් අස්සට දාලා වහලා ලොක් කරලා තියමු එතකොට ප්‍රින්ස් කෙනෙක් එයි වයිට් හෝසස්ලා දාපු කරත් එක ඇවිල්ලා දුවව අරන් යන්න මේ මගේ කට මේ go and see that kangkung and come go ළමයින්ට කතා හදා දෙනවා මෙතන එන වැඩනේ
ඇයි?
මට කොන්වෙන්ට් එකේ හිටපු කාලේ මතක් වුණා. ඒ කාලේ හැම කොන්සර්ට් එකටම මට ඩාන්සින් අයිටම් 2-3ක් තිබ්බා. ඒත් දැන් කාගේවත් උදව් නැතුව මට වීල් චෙයාර් එකකින්වත් නැගිට ගන්න බෑ.
ඇත්තටම වඩ මොකද උනේ?
දවසක් හදිස්සියෙම මං හිටපු බිල්ඩින් එක ගිනි ගත්තා. එතකොට වෙලාව පාන්දර 1ට විතර ඇති. සමහරු නම් කියන්නේ අපේ හොස්ටල් එකේ හිටපු ගර්ල් කෙනෙක්ගේ බොයිෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ් තරහකට කරපු වැඩක් කියලා.
ඉතින්
ගින්න ඩෝමෙට්‍රි එකට එනකන් අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. අපි හිටියේ 3rd floor එකේ.
So these are the three industries that, very interestingly, the industries that brings in dollars to this country, right? The tea, the garment and the migrant workers.
There was a time when the plantation child was seen as a child who was groomed to be a domestic worker. But then things have really changed.
When one domestic worker migrates, I think an employer pays to almost 800,000 to 1 million rupees for one domestic worker.
Not only participation, becoming politician, but also exercising your voting rights as a citizen of the country.
Creating public awareness is one of the important things that should happen. And then the workers need to be organized, and then facilities given for them to sort of organize themselves and demand for their rights.
Face the Nation, Wednesday nights at 9:30 on TV1.
If the people of this country still opt to vote for the Rajapaksas and the SLPP, then we have very, very little hope.
Sri Lanka has a unique position of being the absolute last in the world in terms of revenue to GDP.
You need to get rid of corruption, then only we can think about at least some rationale in the development of a country.
As a party, we are planning to organize a lot of protest campaign and some meetings and demonstrations, all kind of things from January.
When the purchasing power, what we call the aggregate demand, goes down, it will have a negative impact in the economy as well.
Face to Face, Newsfirst political talk show, Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. on TV1.
නව වසරක් නව නායකත්වයක් නව ජයග්‍රාහී ගමනක් ශ්‍රී ලංකා සිම්බාබ්වේ එක්දින සහ T20 ක්‍රිකට් තරගාවලිය ජනවාරි 6 වෙනිදා සිට 18 වෙනිදා දක්වා පිටිය වටකොට නැගෙන ජයගොස සජීවීව විඳින්න TV1 නාලිකාව සමග රැඳෙන්න
හඳ පෙන්නුවාම ඇඟිල්ල දිහා බලන්න නැතුව හඳ දිහා බලන්න පුරුදු වෙන්න.
හරි. මං හඳ දිහා බලන්නම්කෝ.
දැන් වා හිතන්නේ මේක දේශපාලන තර්ජනයක් කියලාද?
නෑ නෑ මම එහෙමම හිතන්නේ නෑ සර්.
සර්කස් කාරයෝ සතියේ දිනවල රාත්‍රී 8ට සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්.
ඉතින් ගින්න ඩෝමෙට්‍රි එකට එනකන් අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. අපි හිටියේ 3rd floor එකේ. එතකොට මගේ යාළුවා පැනගත්තා. ඒත් මං හිර වුණා. ගින්න ලං වෙනකොටම බයෙන් මං ජනෙලෙන් එළියට පැන්නා.
මං කකුල කොහොමද සනීප කරන්න. ප්‍රොමිස්.
ඒ කොහොමද?
බලන්නකෝ.
මං දන්නවනේ. අයියට පුළුවන් නම් කවදාවත් ඒක නොකරින් නෑ කියලා.
මං ගෙදර නා ඩල්සියන්ටි මොකද කියන්නේ?
එයා මුකුත් කියන්නේ වික්ටර් අංකල්.
වෙනද වගේම තාමත් එයා දන්නේ නැහැ මං යන්නේ දිහා. එයාගේ මුළු ජීවිතේම ගෙවන්නේ යුනිවර්සිටි එකේ.
ගෙදර අය කොහොම වුණත් අපිව දකින අනිත් අය නම් කතා වෙනවා ඇති අපි ලවර්ස්ලා කියලා. ඒගොල්ලොන් දන්නේ නැහැ මගේ අයියා කියලා. ඇයි දැන් එකපාරටම සද්ද නැත්තේ?
තාත්තා ගැන කතා කරනකොට මට අම්මා මතක් වුණා. මට දැන් තමයි තේරෙන්නේ තාත්තව කෙනෙක් එක්ක ජීවත් වෙනකොට අම්මට කොයිතරම් ප්‍රෙෂර් එකක් තියෙනවද කියලා.
ආන්ටි මගෙත් එක්ක හරි ආදරෙන් හිටියා. මටත් එයා නැතුව හරි පාළුවෙන්. පව්.
අපි ආපහු යමුද?
හා.
මේ ලස්සනද?
හරි ලස්සනයි.
කසුන් ඔයා මොනවද අඳින්නේ?
මම බැලුවා අප්පච්චගෙන් සරමුගේ බැනියම ගිල්ල ගන්න කියලා.
මොකක්?
හිතුනොත් මම කිසිම දෙයක් අඳින්නේ නැහැ අප්පා.
මං හරි නරකයි කසුන්. මට හැම දෙයක්ම විහිළු. ඒක නෙවෙයි. මාළටයි මුද්දටයි මොකද කරන්නේ?
බලමුකෝ.
කසුන් දැන්ම ටික ටික වැඩ කරගත්තොත් ලේසි. කට ළඟටම වෙනකන් හිටියොත් මුකුත්ම කරගන්න බැරි වෙයි.
ඔයා දන්නවනේ අපේ ගෙදර තත්ත්වය මේ වගේම තමයි. බලමු. මම මොනවා රෝලක් ගන්න බලන්න.
නායට පොලියට සල්ලි අරගෙන මගුල් කාලා තේරුමක් නැහැ කසුන්.
හරි මම මොනවා කල්පනා කරලා බලන්නම්කෝ.
කල්පනා කරමු බලමු කවද අපි මේ වැඩ ටික ඉවරයක් කරගන්නේ. පිළින්න එකට තව තියෙන්නේ මාස 6යි.
උන්ට මාස 6ක්ම තියෙනවනේ.
මාස 6ක් තියෙනවා කියලා උඩ බලාගෙන හිටියොත් වැඩ සේරම කෙරෙයි කියලාද ඔයා හිතන්නේ? අපි දෙන්නම එකතු වෙලා මේ වැඩ සේරම ටික ටික කරමු කසුන්.
කරමු ඉතින් මම බෑ කිව්වේ නැහනේ.
මොකක්ද ඔයාට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? මට මාව බඳින්න ඕනේ නැද්ද?
බඳින්න නැත්තම් මෙහෙම එනවද?
මන් දන්නේ මට නම් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. මට මේ සේරම එපා වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. හිතුනොත් මම මේ සේරම දමලා ගහලා යනවා.
මෙම නඩුවේ පෙත් සම්කාර අභියාචක විත්තිකාරිය සියලු චෝදනාවලින් නිදොස් කොට නිදහස් කරනවා.
පූජා
පූජා හිරෙන් නිදහස් වෙලා. පූජා හිරෙන් නිදහස් වෙලා එන්නේ කුරුළුත් එක්ක ලොකු වෛරකින්. දැන් ඉතින් පන්න පලිගනි.
පූජා සියලු චෝදනාවලින් නිදහස් වෙලා.
නීල පබලු සතියේ දිනවල රාත්‍රී 9ට සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන් නව වසරක් නව නායකත්වයක් නව ජයග්‍රාහී ගමනක් ශ්‍රී ලංකා සිම්බාබ්වේ එක්දින සහ T20 ක්‍රිකට් තරගාවලිය ජනවාරි 6 වෙනිදා සිට 18 වෙනිදා දක්වා පිටිය වටකොට නැගෙන ජයගොස සජීවීව විඳින්න TV1 නාලිකාව සමග රැඳෙන්න.
මේ ඉන්නේ සමන්දිනීගේ අයිය. කවුද?
මේ අපේ දෙවෙනිගේ පින්තූරයක් නේද?
මෙම ඝාතන දාමය පිටුපස රෙදිමූල වත්තේ අනාවේදෙහි සැකය.
කියා දෙන්න ආදරේ තරම් සතියේ දිනවල රාත්‍රී 8:30ට
සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්.
මොකද අපේ කල්පනාව? පණින්නවත්ද?
ඔව්. හැබැයි මෙතනින් පල්ලෙහාට නෙවෙයි. මම පයින්නවා නම් පයින්නේ අර ගඟට. ගලකුත් ගැට ගහගෙන ආයි කවදාවත් මාව හොයාගන්න බැරි වෙන්නේ.
දැන් මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ?
තවත් මොනවද මට වෙන්න තියෙන්නේ කියලා අහන්න. දවසක් පාරමී මාව හොයාගෙන වෙලා මට බැනලා ගියා. ඊට පස්සේ මේ සේරම් කියන මිනිස්සෙක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන ඔක්කොම දේවල් කියලා මට තර්ජනය කරලා ගියා. මගේ ජීවිතේ අනතුරේ නිහාල්. මට දැන් ලෝකෙට මූණ දෙන්න විදිහක් නැහැ. මැරෙන්න මට වෙන කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. මේක වෙන්නේ නැති මගේ ඉරනම්.
චේනු. නිකන් බොරුවට කලබල වෙන්න එපා. මේ වගේ වෙලාවට අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන අපේ විරුද්ධවාදීන් කවුද කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒකට අනුව අපි කරුණු සෙල්ලම් කරමු. එතකන් ඉවසන්න.
අපිට ඉතින් ඉන්නේ එක විරුද්ධවාදියයිනේ. මේ පාරමී ටිකක් හිතලා බලන්න අපිට නිදහසේ ඉන්න දෙන්නේ නැති එකම කෙනා පාරමී විතරයි. ඔය ඉන්නම් වාලේ ඉන්න ගෑණියෙක් එක්ක ඉඳලා ඔයාට ඇති සිතේ මොකක්ද? නිහාල් ජීවිතේ කියන්නේ විඳින්න තියෙන දෙයක් නිසා විඳවන්න තියෙන දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඉතින් ඔයාටත් තියෙන්නේ පාරමී කොහොමම ගිහලා පන්සලකට යන එක.
මං එහෙම දෙයකට කැමති නෑ. ඒකනේ මම යන්නේ නැත්තේ එහෙම. ඔයයි මගේ ජීවිතේ. ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න.
එහෙමනම් ඇයි ඒ ජීවිතේ මට අයිති කරලා දෙන්නේ නැත්තේ?
පොඩ්ඩක් ඉවසන්න. හැම දෙයකටම වෙලාවක් තියෙනවා, කාලයක් තියෙනවා. අපි ඉවසුවාම ඒ හරි කාලෙට ඒව ඔක්කොම සිද්ධ වෙයි.
මේ මොකද?
බලන්න.
ඇග්‍රීමන්ට් එක.
බිස්නස් ඇග්‍රීමන්ට් එක. මේකට අනුව ඔයාට ලක්ෂ 300ක් හම්බ වෙනවා. ඊට අමතරව ඔෆිස් වෙහිකල්ස් වෙනත් වාසි ඔක්කොම ඔයාලට භුක්ති විඳින්න පුළුවන්. ඔය බිස්නස් එක හොඳට දියුණු කරගත්තන් පස්සේ ලාභ ලැබුවාම ඔයාලට පුළුවන් ඒ සල්ලි මට රිටර්න් කරන්න.